Madison is overwhelmed by horrifying images of gruesome killings, and her suffering intensifies as she realizes these waking nightmares are truly terrifying truths. Get ready to relive the adventure as we recap the story of horror film today, Malignant, production year 2021. 1993, at the Simeon Research Hospital, Dr. Florence Weaver is documenting a video log about an individual named Gabriel and his increasing instability. Weaver is subsequently notified that Gabriel has escaped and is causing chaos. Gabriel violently murders multiple hospital staff members in a secured room. When Weaver and her team gain access, they discover the bodies of the staff and subsequently succeed in capturing Gabriel. We observe a child's legs, yet when Weaver speaks to Gabriel, a fleeting view reveals a monstrous being wailing at everyone. Gabriel makes the lights blink and employs a radio to convey his ideas. Weaver then states, "It's time to remove the cancer." Currently, Madison Mitchell is experiencing her 4th pregnancy following 3 prior miscarriages. She resides in Seattle with her spouse Derek, who is harmful and ineffective. Derek holds Madison responsible for the baby's loss, and in a furious confrontation, he pushes her violently against the wall, causing her head to crack open and creating a large hole in the wall. Derek hastily attempts to say sorry, but Madison shuts herself in her room. That night, while Madison is asleep, Derek hears a sound coming from the living room. He sees a dark shape that seems to be watching television, but when he switches on the lights, no one is present anymore. Derek is pursued by the figure until it seems to stab him and then disfigure his body. Madison heads downstairs to find out what's happening and discovers Derek's body. The shadowy figure then seems to pursue Madison throughout the house until she is rendered unconscious. Paramedics and officials arrive at the Mitchell residence and transport Madison to the hospital. Her sister, Sydney Lake, greets her and informs her that she was assaulted. Derek has died, and to make matters worse, she has lost her baby once more. Madison cries out in pain. Detective Kekoa Shaw later visits Madison's room and talks to Sydney. She informs Shaw that Derek prevented her from seeing Madison, so she was unaware of his abusive behavior towards her or that Madison had experienced earlier miscarriages. Shaw's partner, Detective Regina Moss, believes that Madison murdered Derek due to all the mistreatment. After 2 weeks, Madison comes back home and attempts to restore her life to its usual state. She hears sounds and perceives what seems to be a dark shape outside on the street from her window. When Sydney visits later, Madison reveals a fact that she never knew. Prior to Sydney's birth, Madison was adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Lake at around the age of 9. A woman whose name is not revealed is serving as a tour guide for a group exploring an underground exhibit. Once the group departs, the woman finds herself isolated and is followed by the figure. He assaults her and afterwards takes her to an attic where he restrains her. In the evening, Dr. Weaver is at her house where she senses an eerie presence. In the meantime, Madison attempts to do laundry, but she is shocked when she sees what appears to be Weaver shouting at her, questioning why she is in her home. Madison then notices the figure coming closer to Weaver. Madison stands immobile as she observes the figure approaching Weaver, and through a crackling television, he says, "It's time to remove the cancer." Weaver recognizes it's Gabriel, and he then reaches for a sharp trophy to fatally stab Weaver. Gabriel then uses the pointed end of the trophy to create his own weapon. Shaw and Moss later visit Weaver's residence to examine the crime scene, discovering a photo of a girl named Emily May and subsequently seizing Weaver's patient records as evidence. Dr. Victor Fields, an ex-colleague of Weaver, learns about her death and is horrified by the situation. As Fields gets ready for bed, he is also followed by Gabriel. Madison attempts to sleep. but notices Fields on the adjacent bed as Gabriel takes out his weapon and viciously stabs Fields in the face and neck. Madison and Sydney visit Shaw and Moss with a depiction of her vision. They locate the apartment building, but Shaw and Moss have to knock on every door on the top floor until they find Fields' room and uncover his corpse. Upon returning to the station, Madison attempts to pinpoint the killer but can only generate a terrifying facial description. She enters the restroom and receives a call from an unfamiliar number. Gabriel is talking to her, informing Madison that her true name is Emily. Madison calls Gabriel by his name, indicating that she does recall him. Madison and Sydney visit their mother Jean's house, where she feels embarrassed when Madison mentions Gabriel. She provides the women with a tape of Madison as a young girl, seemingly conversing with Gabriel as if he were a made-up companion. Another recording features Madison speaking to Gabriel on Christmas, pleading with him not to murder baby Sydney. Shaw investigates Weaver's work further and discovers another associate, Dr. John Gregory, who is engaged in procedures with Gabriel. Certainly, Madison spots herself in Gregory's house right before Gabriel reaches him. Shaw locates Gregory's address and tries to reach him, but he arrives too late and finds Gregory's body in a bathtub filled with blood. Madison continues to envision the moment in the bathroom when Shaw walks in, and she attempts to alert him as Gabriel shows up. He almost kills Shaw, but instead shoots at Gabriel, who then escapes through the fire exit. Shaw pursues him and finds himself in a dimly lit alley where Gabriel almost catches him, yet the antagonist manages to flee. Shaw and Moss reunite with Madison and Sydney, along with a hypnotherapist, in their efforts to help Madison recall her childhood link to Gabriel. They now understand that Weaver and her team used Madison, or Emily, as a case study. Madison recalls that Gabriel used to talk to her when she was young and would commit wrongdoings she was held responsible for, such as poking his finger into a cake or even persuading Madison to grasp a knife, putting her adoptive parents in danger. Madison begins panicking, claiming that Gabriel always forced her to take the blame, but she quickly regains her composure. A few moments later, the imprisoned woman manages to escape her restraints, but as she attempts to leave, she tumbles through the floor and ends up in Madison's living room. The woman is transported to the hospital, and Madison is apprehended. Shaw and Moss question Madison, who becomes so enraged by the accusations that she screams, resulting in all the lights shattering. Shaw's phone rings, and they hear Gabriel's voice mocking them. Sydney collects whatever information she can about Simeon Hospital and discovers that the location has now become an abandoned structure. She intrudes and successfully discovers tapes featuring Emily May. She takes them home so she and Jane can view. They find out that Madison's biological mother, Serena May, surrendered her children to the hospital at 15 because they resulted from rape, a fact John was unaware of since the hospital informed her that Madison's mother had passed away. They observe Weaver conducting a test with Madison, during which she claims that Gabriel communicates with her. The camera shifts to disclose the reality. Gabriel is a previously conjoined parasitic twin, similar to a teratoma tumor located at the back of Madison's head. Weaver and her team surgically extracted Gabriel from her body, but concerned they could inadvertently harm Madison, they removed only what was feasible, while the remainder of Gabriel stayed inactive in her head. The visions Madison experienced were Gabriel sending images into her mind, convincing her that she was leading a normal life in her home, while in truth, he was seizing control of her body to commit the murders. When Derek slams Madison's head into the wall, it triggers Gabriel to resurface, which clarifies why Madison frequently wakes up with her head bleeding after witnessing Gabriel's actions. During this, Shaw discovers that the imprisoned tour guide is Serena. Madison is in a cell with other women who rapidly turn against her, and two of them start to attack her. Gabriel moves to seize control, exposing his grotesque face from behind Madison's head. Gabriel massacres all the women in the cell and escapes when a guard arrives to intervene. He goes on a rampage at the station, killing other guards, incapacitating Moss, and then retrieving his weapon. Sydney connects with Shaw when they both discover that Gabriel is targeting Serena at the hospital. Upon arrival, Gabriel starts adjusting the lights and electrocutes one guard by short-circuiting his pacemaker. Gabriel reaches Serena's room, where he throws his weapon at Shaw's chest, injuring him. As Sydney attempts to prevent Gabriel from harming Serena, he throws a hospital bed at her, seemingly crushing her while she attempts to inform Madison that Gabriel caused her miscarriages, as he was consuming the fetuses to restore his strength. Gabriel fires at Sydney's head before pursuing Serena. She expresses regret to Gabriel for abandoning him, yet he remains unaffected and ultimately murders her, claiming that her actions made him a monster. Then Madison's voice proclaims that Gabriel was always a beast. It appears that she has now acquired his mind manipulation abilities and compelled Gabriel to perceive what she desires, indicating that he didn't kill Sydney or Serena. Madison takes back control of her mind and body, crafting a confinement for Gabriel to be trapped in, ensuring he can never harm anyone again. All he is capable of is futilely screaming from within his cell. Madison assists in removing the bed from Sydney and hugs her, stating that she has always been her genuine sister, and showing this story ends here. Appreciate a subscribe, and please remember to like. Thanks for watching.